right, guys, if we want to change a fraction into a decimal, we're going to start off with some that are pretty easy, the easy ones. So if we had something and it was over 100, it's going to be really easy for us to figure out. It would be 31 hundredths is how we would say that. So this one in its decimal form is going to be exactly like what it sounds like when it's in the fractional form. So that one was easy. Now on this next one, we could take this and we could make it into a fraction that means the same thing over 100, or we could even make it into something over tenths. So if I were to multiply this times 1, but I multiplied it by 1 in the form of 2 over 2, because remember I'm not changing the value if I multiply something by 1, then when I do that I end up with 4 tenths as a fraction, and then when I want to convert this into a decimal, this would be 0.4. So 2/5 in its decimal form is 0.4. It's the exact same amount, it's just one's formatted differently. On this one, again, if I could get that denominator to be 10 or 100 or 1,000 or something like that, it would make my life a whole lot easier and I wouldn't have to do much work. So on this, yes, I can solve this one pretty quickly. I'm gonna, again, multiply this times 1, but I'm gonna multiply it times 1 in the form of 4 over 4. And when I do that, I end up with 36 over 100. And so when I want to change that into its decimal form, it would be 0.36 or 36 hundredths. So this, in its fractional form, has the exact same amount as this in its decimal amount. On this one, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that will put me so that I can get my denominator to be 10 or 100. However, I can see that I could simplify this guy down. So if I simplified this down, 3 goes into both of these. So I would divide this by 1 or simplify it. So this would be the same thing as 1/5. Now this is an easy number that I can take and I can, again, make my denominator be 10 or 100. So I'm going to multiply this times 1, but I'm going to do it in the form of 2 over 2. And so I get 2 tenths. So as a decimal, this is what the value is. So 3/15 in its fractional form is this number, and in its decimal form is 0 and 2 tenths. And then when we have one that doesn't work, then we have to go into division, and we would divide to figure out what this is as a decimal. So we're going to put 7, and then we're going to divide that into 3, and so we're going to have to go through and do our steps. So 7 goes into 3, none. 7 goes into 30 4 times. 7 goes into 22 times. 7 goes into 68 times. And I could keep going.